Wish you could take your scribblings and convert them into like a game, just as a hobby. Have nothing but sketches and little programming skills, and maybe even like a cheap tablet. How do you go about it? How do you make it? I do web programming for a living, but nothing like building a game. I mean, I've always wanted to take my sketchbooks and create an interactive storybook or even a playable game using an HTML builder and hand coding. Nothing like the Unity Unreal Engine. It's like professional game development. I just wanted something that I could make these images move across the screen, whether it's a web browser or something. But hand coding is out of the question. It's a nightmare. I tried it. JavaScript builders look interesting. Should be a toolkit for moving sprites or images around the screen. You set rules for noises, and I think I'm gonna go that route and forget the Unity thing. I have a cheap tablet I got from Amazon for about 60 bucks, and I'm gonna work with my sketchbooks to recreate the artwork I want. So this is a program called Clip Studio Paint. It's basically like Illustrator or Photoshop, but this is like 60 bucks, and for some reason I picked this up in just a couple days. It was a lot easier for doing vector art, which I think is going to be required for this project, and yeah, just smoothing stuff out. The workflow seemed a lot more intuitive. So what I'm going to do is actually use this program. I'm going to grab a whole bunch of stock poses I'll find from the internet and create all the poses I think I'll need for my game / storybook, and kind of lay those out and trace them and customize them to look kind of like me or whoever my characters are. And then I am going to export those and put them on transparent layers and fill them with white, and then start doing the programming part. So we'll see how it goes. I'm going to speed this up. Okay, now it's time to chop up all these pieces and start learning how to do this game piece. I've tried a couple times, so I know the basics, but I'm pretty much fumbling along. I'm making a folder, make a project folder for it. We'll call this tutorial, game tutorial. It's good enough. So I'm going to stash on the inside of this folder when it's finished. Sprites. It's basically the graphics elements. I'm going to stash everything in. I don't know anything about sound. I just want to go through the basics. So I will make sprites. I'll go back to the folder that I exported all my Photoshop pieces and grab all these guys. There's all the poses and a little school haul I made. So I'll just copy all those pieces and bring them over to my sprites folder in my project. Okay, so we're gonna create new project and do empty game. There's my test game. I'm gonna click that and add all those pieces into my sprites folder, and we should be ready to go. We can save it at this point with our game test 1, and then we build. So on the left hand side you'll see a scenes tab. That's basically where you make each scene. First thing I want to do though is set the properties of the game. It's where I set the dimensions of the stage I'm going to do standard widescreen. I think it's 1280 by 760. I think that's right for a standard widescreen laptop. And all these other settings you can leave for now. The version, frame rate based on the machine, but you can lock it all, obviously. These other things are cool because it'll be ready to export for Android and iPhone. And you can actually sell these things once you bundle it up. But we're just going to get the basics down so we know how to put this thing together. So, scene is the basic stage. You can have multiple scenes, but we'll just build one for now. And this should be at 1280 by 760. And we'll just go ahead and give the scene a name. My first day. Again, it's going to be like a school setting, but it's going to be the basics of doing animation and maybe reading the mouse or the keyboard. So this is our stage. It goes off the screen, obviously, because it's a little window. So you can zoom in or out using the Control Plus, Control Minus, just like any other application, or most of them. So that's the size of our screen. So objects, these are the things that we're going to start putting on the stage. That includes graphics, sound, and things like that. So we'll start to populate our game with reusable objects. So there's sprite. Tiled sprite is like a repeating ground. Other objects, walls, but the basic unit is sprite. We're just going to use that and import graphics into a sprite form. And right now it says new object. It doesn't know what it is. It's the placeholder for the sprite itself. So we're going to go populate it and give this sprite a name. And we're going to name this background. It's basically the stage, the first graphic that everything's going to sit on top of. You can drag the order of these things, but I'll just go and make my background first. And again, it's a little scroll. And for some reason it's called add animation, but you add flats just like you do. It's just called an animation, whether it's in motion or not. So I'm going to name it background. If I can spell. Yeah, might as well call it school, since it's a picture of a school. Do add animation, and this weird thing called Pixel. That's their default editor, but that's where you import things. Now this little pop-up, this is where we're going to actually select from our desktop actual images. So that, click that little button there, and we go in our sprites folder, and we're going to find our school background. This thing is mammoth, but we can scale it later, or we can automatically set it, constraining the aspect ratio. So we'll go ahead and set it for our stage size, 1280. And save. And save again. And apply. Now we drag the school scene into the stage. Now it's the correct width for our stage. Everything sits on the bottom, but we can change that in a little bit because I didn't draw anything high enough. Now we're going to import our first character and see how all that sits on top of this stage. It's a little goofy. I'm trying to stretch it just to fill up some of the space, but you don't have to. It's better if you create the stage the right height in the first place. Now I'm going to add one of the animations. Select sprite. Come on. Double click new object. I'm going to go name it JS for me. And this is just the object name. It doesn't contain any images. So we're going to add animation. And the first thing we're going to do is click a character that basically is standing. It's not doing anything. It's just sitting, waiting for some kind of action. And might as well name it call it stand. With a pixel thing, gonna load the PNG just like before, and I'll go to my sprites library and I'll pick something that looks kind of casual but not really have any emotion. Let me see, there's a pissed off guy. Okay, stand, that's good enough. Arms crossed. And leave the default. We can scale it later. And save. Now, notice that number 1 up there? We're going to create a new animation. That number is going to change from 0 to 1, and you'll see what that is for. It's for targeting and selecting. And it's the JS object still. So I'm going to add another animation. And this time, we are going to import the animated GIF I created. You can also import a series of images and animate through them. I just happen to make an animated GIF, but you can do them all in sequence. You'll see all my walk cycles. There's 4 of them, but that has all 4 of them bundled into a GIF. Go and grab him, and you'll see him walking along instantly. Use a little preview and do an import. And whatever that means. Now see, he's way too fast. You can pull down the frame rate. It's weird, it has a frame rate, but once you get out, it still gives you a time domain. So no matter what you do here, it's going to ask you again, how quickly do you want all of them to loop? So that's way too quick, so I'm going to change it to like 0.2. That's how much it takes to loop through one walk cycle. And we're going to go do apply. Now we can drag this guy happily onto the stage and get him, plop him in the school, and our game is almost functioning. And up top, I'm going to slide everything up while we're here. Again, I would normally fill this with an entire screen. There's our preview, and he's doing nothing. So it's only showing the very first object, which is animation 0, which is just the dude standing. So now we have some events to apply. And this next tab is called Events for this stage. So if we click the Events tab, there are no events. Select the things in the toolbar. Upper right, those are all your actions right next to the play button. There's the play button, debug, and add event. Those are the only 3 I've played with. So make sure you're on that tab. Select add an event. Now there's 2 types here, 2 columns. There's add a condition, and that is the input, the mouse, keyboard, and then there's add an action. What are you applying that action to? So if we click add a condition, we want to listen to the keyboard. You can do the mouse, you can do whatever, or a collision. We'll just type KEY. So those are the functions for the keyboard. We're gonna look for key pressed, and we want them to walk when we press the left key. So if you type, it'll type ahead. I'm sorry, the right key. If you type right, you'll see the pre-population. We're gonna click OK. Now, the action is what happens to that object when that right button is clicked. So what we want to act upon is the JS character, and then what do we want to do? We basically want to change its X position and iterate it over time. So we want to find the positioning object right here, and we're changing its X position. And then once we get that, we'll see operators. Oh, right there. And then we choose an operator. We want to add and we're going to add a value to it and just pick some number. I'm just guessing. We'll just do 1 and see what it does. Click OK. I'll do preview. Now I'm going to click the right button and okay, so painfully slow, and the guy doesn't do anything, right? He's like skating on ice. So we're going to change that to just make it 4. Preview again. Okay, so it's a normal walking speed, I guess. But now he's still stuck in that animation. So we need to target or point to have it flip to the next animation. We're still staying in the right key pressed action or condition, but here we want to do a second operation or action. So we want to click our dude, and we need to flip the animation to the second one. Most programming stuff starts at the number 0. So the second one in the list is usually number 1. So we're going to set 2 and then 1. Oh, if you go back, I'll show what you mean. If you go back to our stage, just to point to what we're talking about, if you click the character, I'll show you the list of animations we have. There is animation 0 and 1. So we're going to target number 1, which should do the walking animation. Let's go back to our Events tab and then add that flip. So scroll down to Animations, click Animation. We're going to set it to 1, which is the walking guy, instead of the guy just standing there doing nothing. And let's see what it does. And there you go. It's that easy. Oh, he's sliding. Okay, so obviously we need to go back, find our character, and make it loop. There it is. Here's loop. So we should be all set. Okay. That's a slow machine, but it works. It's a little draggy. And now the kicker is we want it to stop when we let go of the button, but this side is just for the event for pressed. We can't add another condition because that has the 2 X position and Y, so we need to create a new condition. And as you can guess, we want the condition of the right key up or released. So there it is, the key released, and we're going to listen to the right key again and create that new condition. Now we get to target our guy to tell him to stop and go back to the folded arms annoyed animation, which is again number 0. So I'm going to change that. We're going to set it to 0. You can always go back, check your guy, your sprite, to make sure you get the numbers right. And also we need him to make him stop. So he walks and it stops. Actually, you don't have to make him stop. It's, for some reason, that's implied. Great. So we can actually duplicate this to make sure he flips and does the reverse in left. So again, key on pressed. We're going to go key pressed left. Do OK. And in the X position, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to make it go -4 instead of 4. Select the guy, look position, and we're going to -4 or subtract 4. That should be fine. So that's 3. And we're going to add another action. And this action is going to flip the guy back to 0 to make him stand again. Set value to 0. Oh, no, sorry. Back to 1. And that should be it. Oh, okay, this is tricky. So scroll down, down. Instead of having a second animation GIF, we can actually flip it without doing any more work. So we selected horizontal flipping. So now, and the last one, it was going to be the key release. Left button. And we're going to change the animation to 1. Scroll down. Okay. Set 2. I'm sorry, 0. right. Okay, so the guy should be able to look right, pressing, and then if he goes the other way, he's going to flip. This will show you an interesting problem here. Now, he's stuck this way. Even if I press right again, he's stuck. So you either need programming, a boolean to say which current direction he's going, and then do the invert, or if you make it not, make the very first one, add action. We're going to change the flipping to no. And he should automatically go back to its original position. And let's run it. Yep. So it all works. So this basically is as far as I got. And I'm going to delve into actually programming an actual game with collisions and interactions with other objects. I just want to show you how easy it is to use GDevelop 5. And the next video I'll actually show you how far I got with this whole project. Okay, so give me a like and I will make the next one over the next week or two. Okay, thanks, bye.